What's the time? This is wee hours. The wee hour. Why are they called the wee hours of the night?
Interesting question.
It's the wee hours of the morning. What are the wee hours?
What is we?
It's WEEE.
Yeah, what is that?
What happened?
Anyway, wacha tutagoogle after hii story.
Ujaijiuliza, but hizi vitu, the wee hours.
Tutajiuliza after hii story.
Tutaganga yajayo. Anyway, so this always anyway, it's how we start. You wanna?
It's good to be here. Let me shuffle them things,
Right,
Shuffle them things.
You give me, but we'll see.
Shuffle them things.
Shuffle.
Tarot.
Shuffle.
Ni tarot. The tarots. I'll get better at this. Jesus.
Tarot.
Yeah, do I see them other folks flip these things? Wow.
You just pole with your instincts.
Oh,
okay. You can shuffle till tomorrow until you feel is right.
Okay.
As he shuffles.
So let's say just on layman's terms, as in umeka aesthetic flani IG. The people who really create their pages nicely, you see it's nicely...
Looks cool.
It looks cool, as in you can see there's work in it. But folks hardly mess with, as in a mess. No, the internet is wild west. As in, it's crazy.
The thing is, aesthetic can be manufactured with capitalism. There's a day we talked about aesthetic in R&B music, how it's being overplayed. There's also the downside where aesthetic can be overmilked.
It can be adopted by almost everybody in that, with the interest in that genre.
You adopt an aesthetic. Everyone, you study the grades and then you condense your art to a certain aesthetic. But now the ones who come, they just milk the aesthetic without any roots. And then it becomes, that's how cultures are born. And it becomes a little bit monotonous. And you're like, so there's that balance of like, in music, aesthetic is a whole different thing. But in art, I feel it's a whole other different thing.
In
music, there are times where you're like,
No, but when you say music, as in music and aesthetic, like now there's a battle of, like let's say when you say experimental, as in how you're experimenting as a musician. Let's say, you know me, I do experimental sounds, but with the heart of hip hop, because it's what I levitate to easily, and trip hop and lounge, and then maybe melodies. They have to have some jazz. It's what you're accustomed to. It's what comes to me easily. It's what's my palette. You find you're sitting with other producers and other musicians, and you're discussing about experimenting with genres, genre, accent, whichever it swings, we're gonna say.
Speak like how they speak our language.
I think a lot of things are just to give color to life. As in just make it more colorful. So, hey man, always looking for the meaning in reasons to be.
Life is for the living. Kauponi. What's the meaning?
I think I'm cool.
In a joy, Missy Joey. You wanna spread them out?
Yeah.
What I got this.
Yeah. Ooh.
Fifth of Swords.
Fifth of Swords.
You see this?
A Fifth of Swords.
Yeah, Fifth of Swords is a homie. It looks very androgynous. It's like he has a muscle and also has a teeth on one side. Crazy thing is, the artist who modeled these faces used local faces to model.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't notice that.
There's a tomboya somewhere if you look closely.
Oh, okay. Oh, dope. I just thought that it was just a generic art of some faces. Ah, I see.
Yeah. Tuangalie inamaanisha nini.
So what is it against swords?
The 5 of swords. The 5 of swords, that's for me. General meaning: treachery, sneaky Pete, sneaking away with the treasure. The end of the fighting, winning the war and enjoying the spoils. A hostile and angry person conquering the enemy. You win this war, but the methods used aren't ethical. Being shady may help you. But it will come back around to bite you. Someone is being a sore winner. Pick your battles. You don't have to win every time. I fight my battles honorably. That's my affirmation. Whoa, it's crazy. I don't know.
Fight your battles. That's the affirmation.
I fight my battles honorably, with honor.
Well, it sounds like something of 48 laws of power or something.
That's the beauty about it's not all wishy-washy.
Yeah.
It's very wholesome. The whole human experience, is valid. Because we all have a trickster. Sometimes you're like, I can trick my way out of this shit. If you
and it's always a nice way to. It's always a way out.
Yeah, there's
to
always
a lot
a way
of situations.
Out to do this. But it's also very paradoxical. There are parts that I understand. You win this war, but the methods you used aren't ethical.
And does that matter when you're winning?
No.
I'm just having these flashbacks of politicians. I think, dude, if you only won, leave a legacy behind. Are you hogging an aesthetic by not crossing over? It's a really problem a lot of producers and a couple of my peers. We have somebody crossed over kabisa. As a jamaa, saini time ya, as in you're running with the times. And that's somebody who's making sure they're hopping on other aesthetics. And then there's some, right now, you've been doing boom bap with them in the early 2000s. Right now is piano heavy, G. First of all, don't even bring that sound next to him. He can't even understand it, you know. Of course, different for different folks. But now when you talk generally about aesthetics, there's that big challenge. You find out somebody now stuck in that boom bap in the 90s and I ain't moving from that. That's all I know. So when you talk about experimentation in music, it's a whole different, especially from the production side, it's a whole different conversation. So I'll be wondering, is it better for you? Everybody do what they want. Me, I know what I want, what I like. I create what I feel, not what's out there. But there's a foundation of that. There's where you start with what you feel. There's what you like big on trip hop. Trip hop to me is the biggest influencer to make music to me. Slightly more than hip hop. It's what got me to be like, yo.
It becomes,
I like the slow-paced hip-hop sound,
for me,
which is right now called lo-fi.
Lo-fi.
I check it like, hey, it's what got us to where we are. It's dealer beats, it's the instrumental versions of these things. So the aesthetic.
Now, is that an aesthetic or is it a consensus?
Now you blow up me up with this shit.
Niggas will come, because there's a difference. When people come together, groups always come to a consensus. This is what's popping now.
This is what you're doing.
That's not an aesthetic. That's a consensus. An aesthetic is very individual.
That's
when
individual.
the one person who starts it had the aesthetic, but now the group comes to an agreement, a consensus.
This is what
this is a group.
This is what people are digging.
The person who did it might even have been a fluke, whatever genre it might be. Unanga, the first scratch, that one was a fluke.
Yeah, then people,
like that what did you do to the vinyl? You just didn't let it play. You rewinded it with your hand. All DJs now
we'll be doing that.
We'll do that, and then we'll create laws around it. It's just a very fascinating human. But I would understand. Now what happens is now consensus creates money moves around consensus. because now exchange can happen, attention can be grabbed. The problem comes in, I've seen people who've mastered their aesthetic. We have people in our side who work with us, who've mastered an aesthetic, but you can never see a day where 500,000 Kenyans will gravitate towards that, at least not in this time. You find there's always a war because you can't, it's not
But
that
consensus is driven by an aesthetic.
It is.
Because now, you see like the folks with certain aesthetics, we have them, even you have some aesthetic in something you do. Most of the arts you do, I do, our peers do, to my aesthetic, not the consensus one. Because I think genres, it's where consensus comes. As in right now people are on amapiano. That's just recent genre, probably not recent in how when it was made, but recent in when people have accepted it to be sound of the culture.
Yeah, but now the crazy thing you might find there's someone who's an amapiano fan, not because listen, I can play an amapiano fan some songs. They'll be like, this exists, because I can go there and just love and listen and travel down that rabbit hole out of the excitement of wanting to understand what it is. But there's someone who's become an amapiano fan because they wave, be like, nyi mnaenda hapi amapiano concert, msiniache kwa hao na mabombap zangu. Now they're also an amapiano fan, but they're not an informed one. Now that's I would say is when it swallows even then an informed consumer, it goes beyond aesthetic.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense, kabisa. But now I think these things are always interesting. But it's how different things are created, Pierre. Just from little convos like this. It's how you can find bridging gaps, breaking certain boundaries you have within your creative output. It becomes a problem when maybe these genres come in, and I'm wondering if it's a public utility, just like you're saying, as in, as in if folks, if right now, I've been a proper deep house fan, I've been a proper jazz fan, as in I've been progressing. I don't know if it's progress even. My palette is changing to a point whereby what I was listening to before, I don't want to fuck with it. Najua nilikuwa nasikiza buda mapiano sahi yaki mimi huwezi niekea nini. Deep house it's kwanza you even give it some other critics as a genre, as a sound. Like it's just I'd like, unajua you've had people defy. I'm like, hey man, when does it get to where you move with waves of art to a point whereby the previous sound you're appreciating ain't shit no more? The same thing, you're seeing it first of all with hip hop. I don't think it's even about these younger folks are born into the new sound they're doing, and not the trap actually is even becoming a slightly say kuna grime, not grime, what is it? What is this?
There's grime, there's drill.
The drills. These are progressions of probably trap, which is from crank, from just whichever way. I'm not an expert in it. So you as a musician, you are on the pressure of also
moving with the times.
If you're told this, you're not on this. This is the new wave. You're not on it. Uko nyuma. Public, it's easy to be like, hey, I need to catch up. And I've had some folks actually tell me that I need to get to know what this new thing is so that I jump on it. And you're like, hey, it's cool to acknowledge newness. But it's also cooler to bank your experiences, the things you appreciated a while back don't mean they are.
I still love them.
Yeah.
Still sing a T-Pain song word for word.
Yeah, gee.
It's
That's why it will be hard for me to buy into newness. And it's not being arrogant about it. It's just there's always stuff you're unpacking, you're appreciating. I think music, manze, where's he date? You can't say this is dated. This is, and that's why nostalgia is important somebody who appreciates music. You mark certain records with a certain time. You're like, hey, manze,
the crazy
good
thing. I just thought about this rapper called Car. The Car, Brownsville Car. He's working at his stuff, sticks in the midst of the chaos. He'll be there with his pen. They'll get a lot of writings by very high esteemed stuff, but he'll just deep in, go out, do his work. Now for me, that's like
that guy is dope, G.
In the midst of that aesthetic, he's focused. It's like a very laser-eyed focus. That's where I pull like inspiration when you're like, hey man, when you need clarity, I think Kai for me, brings me a lot of clarity in the midst of all this chaos. Just to listen to him sometimes, it's like, oh snap. You can still maintain your individuality and your truth. And that's now what I'd call an aesthetic. The other thing people forget, but as you're saying, things that we go back to remember is things that maybe they said something to us. It was such a unique sound for that time. It inspired you in some way, dealer or whatever. A verse, a rap. It's something that it did what music is supposed to do. That's the thing you remember the most, even if it was on the radio. But it did for you. The utility of music happened regardless of whatever aesthetic was there. The song made you cry. The song made you think. It made you feel some way. It made you. Those are the things that now make nostalgia a valuable thing, because it's like two things meet. It's like something in you was enhanced by something else, or something in. But I don't think people want to disregard nostalgia, because it's also the flip side of it is when it's just remember when. Remember when.
Back then when
it's that one, it's like for what now? It wasn't so cool, and then you sweep. Because now maybe nostalgia sometimes is be like, now it's not so popping, like the world is in a good place, so nostalgia feels so good, it's like a warm blanket. But a nostalgia that pulls you back to remind you why you love something, or why you love hip-hop, or why you hold yourself in a certain way, because that shit it's important, even for me. Or even just joy. It doesn't have to be the most like super virtuous thing. But if it was through music, then that's what music's supposed to do.
So I keep thinking, the other thing I sometimes wonder about. So how we dig for records. Even this new stuff we in there. It's not like we're not out there trying to understand sounds, where it's going, supporting other creatives. As in, I still wonder, why is it so hard? Because I think also appreciation of stuff is something to be taught. Love taught, as in, you want to tell, we can't all be vibrating in the same frequency. As in, you can't have somebody and no hate loss. First of all, the ones winning, guys, keep winning. You're inspiring us to even win more. Here, where's that heart of discovering new sounds for yourself that will make you feel special, as in you discovered this? You're kitu lost, G.
Yeah, people don't.
I think that's why we can't see, it's frequencies, like you say, as in it's vibrating. You can't vibrate on the same.
You know what the meaning of FM is?
Frequency modulation.
Yeah, you gotta modulate these people's frequencies, bro. You gotta modulate them, bro. Frequency modulation. That's what FM is.
I wish I could get somebody plays me something I've never heard, which is that's why I like asking people what's in their private collection. I said, hey, what you got? As in, what do you stash for yourself? That one, and
I love music.
You get some shit from there.
But I think it's that thing. One thing about music, when it hits you, feel no pain. And it's like, if you've never been hit by music and felt no pain, like, then you've never understood music. Because I feel music helped me help people.
Yeah.
The people in my life who are there because maybe I play, like many people.
Big time.
Music helped me because of I was like, okay.
And also
Just
other people
pull
you're
me out
connected
of
with because of
music.
records they put you on.
Exactly. There are people who
like,
they'll still be special regardless of how they're not, maybe we can't speak, but I can never feel very bad about them because of just music, what you shared musically with me. I can never hold you in a very dark, I can't be like, fuck that guy or whatever, because of, I feel music for me is but I don't know, people haven't been hit by music.
Maybe people put us on their private call. You guys out there.
Yeah, if you got like some secret.
Let's see your private collection. Besides they're trying to push what we got, which you guys gotta hear too. Yeah, put us on
some shit.
what you got.
Yeah, no, even if it's, I don't believe in guilty pleasures. I think all pleasures should be guilt-free. But anything you listen to, that you dig, we would love
old,
that.
new, kabisa, vintage.
Mimi nilikuwa nasema hata nitaacha kufanya ati best of 2020. Because these days, I listened to Marvin Gaye in 2019.
As in when you sit down and listen to Marvin, as in.
Yeah, that was 2019. I sat down and I listened to What's Going On. And that was before just COVID happened. And that project became one of my best projects because I was like, hey, what's going on?
The frequency is right. It just hits you the right time.
Brother, we both. I'm like, dude, that's the power of music. So I'd say, like, even if you were ever to do a list, I don't think, if you listen to a 99 project in 2021, that's your project of that year. Shouldn't be because it
came out in 20.
Yeah, me, I'd be like, if we were to ever do a list with you, I'll pull out things from 1970 that I've listened the first time this year. Be like, that's a thing I dig.
And me, that's even been the D&E thing. So it's the music. It's not what if it came out that year. It's that was relevant to you that time. Probably even just because you pulled it out. Not really as in you're looking for it. I'm just keeping these things. When I get into art, G, I'm really kind of interested.
When I get into art,
I got into collecting little things.
Oh, okay.
You know, like little. Yeah, I don't know. There's a way I've started looking at art that is intriguing to me. I don't know if it comes with age. Yeah, I'm finding myself staring at art pieces in a way I never did before. But it take longer to look at it. Look at the strokes. I feel like feeling it. You know, just in traffic. Ulipita umeangalia artwork, umeangalia. And all you're doing is really you're not critiquing it. You're trying to understand it. And I'm like, hey, manzi, it's a new face for. It's a new eye. So maybe slightly a few years ago, ulikuwa unaangalia ile kitu ikai poa. Sasa sisi watu wa the certain way unataka ma lines, unajua ma OCDs. You're like, manzi kukona aja nini. As in you're looking at that kind of art that way. I don't imejipata niko kwa. You look at that thing, you're like. So yeah, and I think it's also still trying to make better, more meaningful meaning to our existence. Sababu ya nini? Why are you doing that? It's just unapata you're out there learning to appreciate more. And it's also by engaging with people who that's their thing. Nasemazin, it's nice to learn from. You never know everything. You can never be a master, as in master appreciator of Nilo tuna learn, okay, this is how you look into something. This is how you dig. I like some folks who you put into looking for records, really. Who right now they're the ones giving you records which you'd never have access to. Mtu ameingia Bandcamp, you say, like the nicest thing I'd ask you folks, I don't know, this is just trying to make shit interesting for us and yourselves here. As it's nice to take maybe, let's say, $10, you know, hiyo si ni thou. Useme naingia Bandcamp and I'm going to look for 2 EPs for $5 each. You know, and go dig. No reference, no anything. So as tumetoka mahali, oh, maybe I had this song, I need to find this guy. As it just open-minded, dude, you'll find yourself somewhere in Kosovo.